I want to say how much we appreciate Noble Foundation and their invitation and their opportunity to give you a few minutes on your checkoff. But I have to say, I feel like my job's already been done today by Michelle Peterson-Murray with NCBA. I'm very proud of the partnership that we have with National Cattlemen's Beef Association. They are the largest contractor of the checkoff. But I want you to know that it is truly a national and state partnership, and we work together and we're integrated. And if each state beef council was to go and do their own programs and to drive their own vision and their own messages, we would not have the efficient checkoff dollar we do. But we do have one because we have that national state partnership, and we're able to work together, so we're all talking from one vision, one plan, and one voice. So since we've talked about domestic, I'm going to switch over and talk about international marketing, because the Oklahoma Beef Council made a decision a couple of years ago. And we really looked at the opportunities we had to ensure that we were efficiently and effectively spending your checkoff dollars. And we looked at a couple of factors, and one was Oklahoma only represents less than 2% of the U.S. population, less than 2%. We also looked at the fact that 96% of the world's population is outside of the United States. And then finally, we looked at the opportunities we had with the U.S. Meat Export Federation, and we could take your checkoff dollar, and that could trigger matches through MAP and FMD funding through U.S. government resources, and then that could be further matched through promotions on the ground in countries, in 80 countries around the world. And so we felt like the best use of your checkoff dollars was really to start moving some additional dollars into the export market. And then finally, I left one point out, and I think it's the most important point, and that is because the cultural differences around the world, there's cuts of beef that aren't as popular here in the United States that are very popular in the international marketplace. And so if we can export those cuts of beef for a higher value than what they would sell for in the United States, we're bringing more money back to the cattle producer. So I just want to share with you a couple of examples, and these are two different promotions funded by Oklahoma Beef Council checkoff dollars in Japan. When the market opened up in Japan to cattle under 30 months of age, we really wanted to help U.S. Meat Export Federation go in strong. And as you can see, the results of these promotions were very positive, but more than anything, what I want you to look at is the product mix. The product mix on the beef cuts that we're selling in these particular marketplaces. I don't know about you guys, but I really am not interested in eating intestines. But if there's countries in this world where they love intestines and they love beef tongue, guys, I'm willing to ship it to them by the container load. How about you guys? Yeah, I'm sorry. So this just gives you a couple of examples of how your checkoff dollars are expended overseas. We were so excited this year that we passed that $6 billion in export market. $6 billion in export value this year, first time ever. But also what's important to look at is that our volume of exports increased by 3%. And so what does this really ultimately mean to you as cattle producers? It means about $244 additional per head of value coming back to the cattle industry because of the export markets and the success of the export market. We're going to continue to invest with the U.S. Meat Export Federation. We feel like it's been a very effective use of your dollars because at the end of the day, our job is to help grow beef sales. So we're going to come back to domestic, and I have a short film clip we're going to show here, I should say a trailer, but there is a new film that's going to be coming out called Farmland. And what it does is highlight young farmers and ranchers that are making that generational switch in the business. The film is directed by James Moll, who is an Oscar award-winning, two-time Oscar award-winning documentary filmmaker. And really what our goal and our hope is for this movie is that it's going to provide the foundation for us to have long-term and productive conversations with consumers about how we produce food in America today. And then ultimately, I should also say this was produced with generous support from the U.S. Farmers and Ranchers Alliance, of which the Beef Checkoff is a part of. And so I want to make sure you know that that's why we're sharing this with you. And if we can go ahead and roll that.
Most Americans are 5 generations removed from the farm, and each generation gets a little farther. Some people still view farmers as the old guy on a rickety tractor with overalls.
And that's not the case at all. We're just like everyone else, we just have different jobs. We're normal.
The core of it is still growing and producing something, but the way we do it has changed.
We've got way more technology, we've got way better equipment.
If this is representative, you have more melons than I have.
The global demand for food is growing. As a younger generation, we have to find some way to keep up with that and maintain that.
Farming is an inherently risky business.
It's high risk, high reward. I've been broke more times than you'd want to know. If the market drops or sales are getting rejected, let me see what I can do.
It's a very real concern that you lose everything. And so, what do?
It's all at the mercy of the weather.
A few less inches of rain is the difference between a good crop and no crop.
Have you found anything?
I'm not even finding a seed.
Just trying to keep my head above water some days.
You leave a lot up to Mother Nature.
And Mother Nature never takes a day off.
I live for the future, and so I farm for the future, because my time's up. It isn't about me. It's about the next generation.
Lots of people talk about how hard they work, but until you know a farmer, you don't know what hard work is.
Basic needs for food don't just appear in a grocery store.
We spend so much time and so much effort into making something happen. And when it finally does happen, we're pretty proud of it.
It's what I do, it's what I love. Anybody that knows me is gonna say, farmer.
Some days the kids are riding with me on a tractor and I'm still at my job. I'm living my dream.
Did you guys love that? So I'll share this with you. The first major national, and I get confused if it's a private or public screening, but the first major screening of this movie will be in Washington, D.C. for Ag Day. I also want to let you know that the premiere of the movie will be in New York City. And so we're excited to have that kind of audience. But then there will be multiple private and public screenings across the United States, including 2 in Oklahoma. Just found out today, I'm so excited, you have no idea. We're gonna have a private screening in Oklahoma City on April 15th, and then we're still waiting for the dates on Tulsa. But our hope is that we're going to be able to provide that platform to have very positive dialogue and that conversation with consumers about where their food comes from. And we think this movie is just going to provide legs for us for a long time in our ability to communicate and really share your story, the rancher story, the farmer story. So guys, thank you so much.